One of the best-selling generators of 2023 is this Pulsar dual fuel unit, consistently getting 4.4 stars on Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, eBay, and more. Plus some of the comments and reviews that I've seen on sites such as mine and other ones, a lot of people love this little generator for its compact size and more power, and being that it can run on propane as well. We'll see how well it kind of does to the Honda, just to give you a little bit of a comparison, since they are so close in weight and not to mention as far as size, but the power output and the ability to run propane really makes this a pretty good option. Now the Pulsar does come with a low idle switch, indicator lights, and of course a circuit breaker, and then a dedicated switch to go from propane or gas. You have your propane inlet along with the L530R twist lock plug. Now they do provide a 30R plug to a travel trailer plug that is in the box, along with oil, a little toolkit, and more, so you're pretty much ready to run. And they also include the propane hose, and this is one of the things that are actually really important, is that because the propane line has the regulator on it but not the load regulator, this means now you can actually run this a lot easier from your onboard tanks, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then this also has just a simple selector switch, which you would just put into run or choke, which you can then also parallel this unit, and you do get one 20 amp outlet as well. And because the Pulsar uses the same thread pitch on its fuel cell, you can now utilize this brand new electronic fuel pump. This is an external pump that allows you to run an external gas tank of say up to 6 or maybe 12 gallons. And it's fully automatic and uses its own power to supply it. I'll leave a video link and description of this down below. Now, one of the things I really like about dual fuel generators is one, it's actually safer because you don't get as much carbon monoxide released from propane that you do from gasoline, but also just the ability to be able to run from your onboard tanks is very helpful. That's my connection there, which comes to a line that's right down here, and then I can use the onboard tanks, and because again, this has the load regulator built inside and not on the actual propane hose, it allows you to run your propane tanks run on board with the onboard regulators. Now, anytime you do use propane, you want to check for leaks. I always highly recommend doing this because if there's a leak in here from a faulty connection, maybe it's your connection, or maybe it's even your connections that you've done up here, these little pins right here, these, get that in focus for you, but these can really save your butt. I'm going to turn this on, I'll show you how it works. So there goes my propane. And now if we come over here, because I do not have this, but what you look for is you just look for that line, or this will beep right at you. So what I'll do here is I'll crack this open. I only put this on hand tight so you can see, and now that it's leaking, look at that, that thing took off right away. And it lets you know that there's a leak somewhere. So these guys are great because they're literally like 25 bucks. And if you have an RV, this is just something you should have on board anyway. It lives right there in my little toolbox. I'll leave a link down below for these things, but this is one of the best little things I've found. I've actually helped neighbors as well when they've had propane leaks. I'll be like, hey, I got this cool tool, and then they end up getting one themselves. Okay, so we're gonna do just a quick sound check with this one, and we'll also check the Honda. I'm gonna use my little sound meter here. We'll be able to see that in a minute. It's gonna be our load down here at the moment. So right now, I'm just charging up the batteries on my EcoFlow power kit. So this kind of helps keep my load pretty consistent when we do the sound check. So we're only doing, I'll come over here and show you real quick. We're gonna use that right there, and we're gonna be hovering right about 3.8 amps or so, 440 watts. And we'll do like 3 sound checks with this, and then we'll do 3 sound checks with the Honda. So our first point, we'll just do it right here at the kitchen. And so right here, and I'm going to try to keep this as the same as I can, stop talking. So about 48.9 or so. Okay, the second spot will just kind of be our fire pit right here, and you can see how the distance is right there. And here we go. We'll also do this fire pit right here, which is kind of next to the truck, and then there's the generator, so that can be our other point of where we are. We do have little truck noise behind us, but okay. Okay, so now we're going to do about a 10 amp load. So about 10.7 there, 1250 watts, give or take, maybe almost 1300. Okay, back at the outdoor kitchen. And back at our fire pit. And back at this other fire pit. And just so you guys can see that my last test will be at 15 amps, so we'll save that. And that's going to bring us right around here, about to what the Honda can handle is about 1800 or so consistent. So it might just be over, but we'll see what it sounds like. Okay, outdoor kitchen again. Fire pit number 1. And fire pit number 2. And this is just a quick listen with them both side by side. Now, of course, I'm running that one off of propane, and if you're wondering if there's any difference in the sound, I've tested several of these. I've never found any significant difference to where propane actually makes them quieter. It's always so even that, yeah, it ends up being pretty much the same. Okay, again, we're going to start with the same 450 some watts on the Honda. Here we are at the kitchen. And fire pit number 1. And fire pit number 2. And here we are back to 10 amps again. And that's going to bring us close to that 1300 again. Alright, kitchen number 1. And fire pit. Fire pit number 2. Now back to 15 amps. And just about a little over 1800 again. And back to the kitchen. And fire pit number 1. And fire pit number 2. Okay, so something a lot of people don't know, what I did is I increased the amps up to a 2000 watt draw roughly. And what a lot of people don't understand is with the Honda is that even though it's a 2200, it's only rated at 1800 watts, but it can actually do the full 2200 watt output for a small sustained amount of time. If you read in the manual, it can be anywhere from just a couple minutes. Like if it was really hot outside, it could hold 2,000 watts for maybe 5 minutes or less. But with it being about 60 degrees out right now, it'll probably hold this for 20 to 25 minutes before it actually goes into overload. Usually 30 minutes, 25-ish, is about the max it'll run over the 1800 rated. But while we're here, let's just check it at the 2000 watt load. And fire pit number 1. And fire pit number 2. Okay, now there's the Honda over there still running 2000 watts. And let's just say that we're one of the neighbors, like some of these folks out here at Quartzsite right now. Well, this is what it would sound like with the generator running. You can probably also hear some of the freeway noise because I'm only about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away from the road. Let's see what the Pulsar sounds like at the higher loads. Okay, and now the Pulsar at about 2000 or 2100, so it's just a little bit more. And kitchen. Fire pit number 1. Fire pit number 2. And for my little mark on the ground, if you just happen to be my neighbor, which I hardly even use generators anymore, but trying to make sure the wind's not hitting it. Now, if you wanted my opinion, just with the wind and the road noise, that sounds just a smidge quieter, even though the meter, I mean, just from the tone and everything, from what I'm listening to, and the wind doesn't really change much, it's still about 3, maybe 3 to 5. That sounds just a little better, honestly. But of course, the Honda is fully working. It's maxed out, where the Pulsar is not yet. So that's one of the benefits. And I'll show you one other example real quick, just so you can kind of see something here. Okay, so as we take a look at this here real quick, the reason why this is a little bit more significant is because this is about 1750 watts. Okay, now depending on the type of RV that you have, if you have, like I have right here, that's a 15K AC unit and a 13.5. If you have a smaller trailer with just one 15K AC unit, those are going to draw, depending on the brand, roughly 1750 watts max on a really, really hot day. If the day isn't as hot, they'll be maybe 1450 to 1550, but on a really hot day, they can draw as much as 1750 watts. So that right there is one of the main reasons you kind of need a little bit bigger generator than the Honda, because eventually that Honda is running at full max at 1750, and it will not be able to handle the startup loads of those 15K AC units, especially without a soft start. So those are things to consider when buying like that little Pulsar suitcase generator. It's at a great price for only being you know, the same size, the same weight, and being dual fuel. It's really hard now to really justify the little Honda anymore. I love the thing. It's been, you know, they've always been great and they run really good, but for $600 for that, Honda actually has these on sale now, which is really crazy. For, I think it's $900 or $1,000 versus that's the companion, which is normally $1,299. But you still have to add a propane kit for $250, have somebody install it if you can't do it yourself. So there's another added expense there, to where you can buy 2 of those at that point, maybe 3, and get more hours out of it than you would a Honda. So Now, just so you guys know, this actually isn't a sponsored video. I bought this with my own money because I wanted something the same size as the Honda because it does fit great in here. I was using the EcoFlow Smart Generator, which is nice, but it is a little bit bulky, it is a little bit heavy, and because my battery bank is only going to be increasing, I wanted more than the 1650 I could get out of it. Plus, it's running wide open, and I don't like that with anything. I mean, that's just shortening the life of basically any piece of equipment if it's going to run wide open all the time. So I ended up buying this because the ratings, they really are so good, and because the price is only $600, it's really hard to beat. But I hope you guys liked the video. I'll have links down below. There's a link down below called Ask Me as well, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.